Welcome to Bubble Tea Time, boys, where we spill the tea on last week's game and set the table for this week's. I'm Digital Feeling, first name probably Adam. Uh, I'm back as a host for a little while, so I get to join our lovely analysts and also our guests. So first, let's reintroduce them. We got Brian, aka Deco Donu. We have Daniel, aka Dans. We got Matt, aka Alki. For those who don't know, we do have a rotating cast of analysts. So catch every week because you may see someone different. Sometimes we have Steven. Maybe we get the elusive Elena. So we'll see what happens. But let us also welcome our special guest, sinZsoul, Yue.
Hey,
So,
everyone.
what team do you play for? How did you start in the Bubble Tea League? Quick questions and introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah. So my name's Yui. I play for NBS. Currently 3-0. Only 3-0 team. Just want to put that out there. How I got into the league? Last season, my friend Joe actually asked me if I was willing to play top lane in the league, because Brian's team, Brian and Dan's team, they actually didn't really have a consistent top laner, and joined the league, joined THD. We went to the finals, and the rest is history. So
In the annals of history, the championship history, no less. Well, boys, let's get right into it. We got a bit of time. Let's go into our match recaps. First game we had was Second Breakfast versus Executive Order with a Second Breakfast win. Let's go ahead and get that clip rolling. And if someone wants to take it away from here.
Just really watch how the Jax engages in this fight. It was very well coordinated along with the rail.
Say coordinated. As the player in this team, I can tell you that Will was just quietly walking over the wall, and the moment he gets the double man stun, he didn't say anything, and he did not expect me to just follow up on him. He's like, "Oh, I guess that works."
So what you're saying is honor Dan for the follow up.
Nah, honor Will. Will was honestly a beast that game.
Uh, it was so impressive in his positioning for this game, I think, especially with him waiting on the other side of the wall because of the vision y'all had. I thought that was super impressive. But yeah. Uh, any comments about this game? I know Dan's you were in it. How did it feel? How was it going?
I mean, I could say XO made it very, very frustrating to play bot lane. Every time we tried to go something bot, they played their comp correctly, and we'd just 5 manas and we'd lose. So we stopped doing that somewhat.
yeah, I just felt this game was really influenced by the Jax phase rush pick, actually, because the phase rush got him through a lot of the early game bullying that Urgot can do, and then afterwards, like he just had a really really good combo of jumping in, proccing his E stun, and then autoing with W and just running away. Uh, and Urgot really just couldn't do anything. I remember there was clearly one trade where he tried to E back in into the Jax, but because of phase rush, like the E just missed.
What do you think about the phase rush build on Jax?
Yeah, what's y'all's opinion about that? That's super unusual. Like, is it just in the right hands like Will, or is it a meta pick?
I think just face rush is a really strong keystone, and
I mean,
people
yeah.
forget about it.
So
I mean,
I
it's strong everywhere, but it's if you want to take short trades, right? Like you don't want to sit on Jax, you want to trade really quickly and run away. So I think it made sense. Will, I mean, I'm sure he cognizantly thought about, oh man, I'm into an Urgot and I don't really want to like sit in his stuff. Maybe phase rush is the play.
Cincy, you had something to add?
yeah. So I remember watching a video actually on like weird builds that kind of work. It was actually a skill cap video, and Jack's phase with phase rush was actually one of the highlights in that video.
Very awesome. It was on the showcase. Um, let's go on to our next game, which is going to be Milwaukee Bucks baby versus the Good Boys with a Good Boys victory. Very impressive as per usual. Let's go ahead and run that clip. Why don't we toss it to maybe Alki here?
Right. So this was a just good presence of mind. We had an idea of what they were going for, and then Steve was like, "I'll buy time while we all come up." And at first, it was like a little dicey, but then when Charlie came in, we were able to clean up the fight, and from here we really solidified the game. Seeing we already have a pretty solid lead here, and this just shut out the game from then on.
Yeah, this felt like a very like team win overall. Like Steven built pressure on his own, but you guys were able to play as a unit of 4 together, and I saw a lot of cohesive plays between all of you.
One big thing that we're really trying to work on is just overall team cohesion and communication. And I feel like this game is a good example of showing that we're iterating on ourselves. And I feel like we can keep getting better from here.
Yeah, not to take away from Steven's lane phase though, because the lane phase was pretty Steven sided. I think at a certain point it didn't. Um, Even with the team cohesion shining through, it didn't matter because Steven was just so big, nobody could match him in sides, and it was over.
But Steven did get flashed on and soloed. That was
He
a
did.
Mhm.
keck W right there.
Yeah.
If Mayo had gone, I think in that play, if Mayo had dashed out the right way, he actually gets out scot free. His wave is perfect, and he potentially can kill Mediotes if Medio tries to mess with him. But instead, he dashed out the back way, took another tower shot, and then died to Mediotes afterwards. So yeah,
In
a
regards to
little
the
bit of yeah,
yeah,
a
in
little bit
regards to
of
like the sorry, go ahead.
difference. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, in regards to like that flash play, according to Steven, says he's not here. He said, "I was trying to give him the confidence to fight me so he could keep running it."
That's always really impressive. Was there any standout players from y'all's perspective? We've seen Steven just really just hardcore it as before, but anyone from MBB that like really shine through as well?
I mean, Caribou, formerly known as Hugs and Unicorns, had a really nice early double kill top lane, which honestly we thought would swing the match very hard into MBB's favor. If Mundo
Oh
could
yeah.
get ahead, um, there was nothing really that GB could do to stop him.
Yeah, big if though. You know, level 1 isn't going to be enough to bridge you all the way through, so they definitely had to continue playing around the Mundo. I thought the Mundo played around his team and like probably shouldn't have been it. I think MBB should have realized at that point, like, hey, we can Mundo win condition this, and we should just yeah, let him go into jungle and build prio to play for our jungle only. And I think some of that game was Adam playing for his team, and probably should have been the other way around.
All right, let's go on to our next game, which is going to be MBS versus Acid Rabbit. How about we have sinZsoul kind of walk us through this clip?
All right, so yeah, okay, we're at the Baron, and yeah, I just take the Malphite ult, and I saw the Hecarim engage, and I just decided to follow in. I kind of die here, but I think it's okay because the rest of my
Get
team
the egg.
cleans up. And yeah, I think this is an ace, or oh, we got a pick on Morgana earlier. That's what prompted the Baron. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is I mean, from what we watched today too, this is kind of a classic NBS team fight. Yui builds a lot of space. They maintain their front to back structure, and MBS just front to backs it out. Like their divers died a lot faster, and it had less impact than you did. And Yui, like kind of with the Malphite ult, dunked their back line, egged Anivia, was able to have uptime with his W. Like just got a lot more value. And like today's game was kind of like that too. Yui in one of the most critical fights near Dragon was able to come in like from a corner, jump over a wall, kind of tank the entire team, press R and Volibear, tank it further, and then back out. And by then, Sopa had already been like torn in half. And I guess we'll talk about this more next week. But I think that's like the calling card, one of the calling cards of NBS right now. Like a mixture of like really insane early game vision plus like a really straightforward front to back team fighting. So
I actually have a
yep.
question for you, Yui, if you don't mind asking.
Yeah.
So I had me in last season too. He was a pretty great teammate. How do you feel working with him? I feel like he adds like a lot of cohesion that is needed for teams. He's really informative, really communicative.
Mhm.
I had a fun time playing with man, and he was really smart about drafting and such like that.
Yeah,
How's your experience been
so
with him?
I feel like Honestly, everyone on the team kind of just listens to Matthew
Oh, really?
to a certain extent. Yeah, and so Man's just a really cool and chill guy, and he has some really good ideas about how to draft too. Yeah, like you said. Uh, but we kind of just listen to Matthew in game, and so.
I love his name, by the way.
Oh
It's
yeah, it's
great.
great.
Very awesome. Well, it's great. If I'm correct, and Brian, you can correct me. This is Matthew's first season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
He's
like,
a rookie.
rookie taking lead in a team. I think that's really, I don't know, that's really impressive to me. I don't know, that really stands out for a player just to come in and be able to command that. Good personality, I guess. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Definitely.
well, awesome. Hopefully we get more players like that. And if anybody is watching, we should have openings for next season as well. Get to play with some cool people like sinZsoul and like Mayan. But let's go on to the next game. And that's going to be True Heart Destiny versus Deep Dive, a game I played in. Ooh, I
You walk us through this clip then.
yeah. Okay, I'll walk through. Thank you. So here we have like we just trying to make position, right? Like we're super behind. We have to make something happen. But this like just every positioning we just get split across, right? There's fights literally happening in three quadrants in this river and in their jungle, and it just makes it a wild time to try to make any cohesion, right? But we, I mean, you see there, like the entire play was spread out, and whoever had the control of the middle essentially was able to dominate. Like once you spread the team out, in this case, man, it's just so hard to get back into it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there's some brilliant individual plays. Like sinDra got a 3-man stun, which set up a 2-man Malphite ult, which was pretty good. I mean, I don't know, you can't get much better than that. Fight was kind of over at that point. So, um, like you said, control is important, and it's the most important thing against a team comp like this for sure. Syndra and Malphite, the ability to turn with like big impact ults and stunts.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that was this THD game in general was a really nice like redemption showing by the team. After their week 1 was like pretty miserable in terms of draft and all that stuff. Um, I think this draft made more sense, and THD I think is a really strong team going forward. If everybody's like on the same page and ticking, then I think they'll be a top tier team. I think their week 1 is I don't want to say a fluke because it was a good game, um, but I don't think it'll be indicative of the rest of the season.
Yeah, I just from playing on the team, I really enjoy the way that Wired, the support for that team, kind of plays to make plays. Especially in the bot lane, we did get a couple of like kind of cheeky kills because of it. So like big shout outs to him for being a part of the aggression that you need to have in this sort of game. Uh, to because you have to get control later, right? You have to be stronger than the Syndra and the Malphite to win the game. But like if you fall behind, like I mean Nikolai, who's the mid laner for THD, just really just did it up. Like did such a good job at like
Mhm.
landing the stunts that needed to be landed on, and kind of forcing us into a really tight position,
For sure.
or a loose one in this case, right? Too loose, not too much control.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably give him player of the game because I felt like he really played above his level and matched Blazion's, who's
Definitely.
probably
Yeah.
one of the better mids in the league. So
Yeah, Nikolai was really good this game, I think for sure. I do think that THD does have to contend with the idea that Nikolai's like best games in beat bubble T history, I guess, are all on Syndra. Um, something that other teams probably have noticed, so it's not like I'm spoiling a big secret. Um, so I think it does a little bit remain to be seen, like if he can expand his pool and make sure that he has some other fearsome picks out there, so that other teams are like ready, or not other teams, like so that THD is ready to play multiple styles with multiple picks, or even the same style but with multiple picks. I think one-trick ponies and stuff like that. I mean, not saying that Nikolai is necessarily, but one-trick ponies don't have a good time in bubble tea. They get banned out very heavily. Shout outs to Elena and Pike, etc., etc.
Mm-mm. Never gets to play. Let's go on to the next game, which is going to be PIO versus Panic in Our Oceans versus the Student Council with a Panic in the Oceans win. Who wants to take this clip?
Well, we've
I'm
all
on
done our
PIO.
own games, so
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go, Brian.
I guess
Let's
we can
go,
do it.
Brian.
Keep up with the trend.
Not much to say about this clip really. Oh, is it even up? Oh crap, it's up. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean they go on backline, and we have our core. Like Sichuan is the only one that can touch our carries, so yeah, it's a pretty free front to back for us. Teddy, like their mid Morgana is just stuck on our Hecarim, and that's never gonna end up being very fun. So, and then Plo comes in real late and picks up what he can get, which was pretty nice, but it's too little, too late. And I think off the back of this fight, like Mina gets 4 kills, and then it's pretty done. Yeah, pretty done. Yeah, I don't know. Realistically, going into that game, we knew we won from before we loaded in. Our draft was way, way better. Yeah, I mean, in one draft we got Tristana, Hecarim, Seraphine, like game over. So honestly, like as long as we had functioning hands and heartbeats, like I think that game was over from the start. TSC has potential, and like Plo was able to get a really big ult in that river and stuff like that. But I think in terms of like Draft Kingdom, they weren't able to show it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much to analyze in that game, to be totally honest with you.
For a rookie like Mina's also a rookie, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the Tristana. That's Daddy I'm Close.
Christ.
What a good name. But really aggressive play. But we saw from that clip, I really enjoyed, again, new players really being outstanding and making as many plays as they can with what they've got. And I think Mina just like did exactly what they needed to do. They ended up with, I think, 3 to 4 kills in that one clip by just jumping around and really using the utility that Tristana had. How's
Right.
working with Mina?
I mean, she doesn't talk much, but when she does, it's important and we listen. But I mean, realistically speaking, I think like our pick banning and our drafting is really going to be a gigantic strength for us, and I think a lot of teams are not necessarily prepared on the same level as we are. And a lot of that is because our champ pools are gigantic. Mina plays literally every ADC under the sun. Our top laner plays all the meta's top laners plus more. Um, I play a lot of things like I think a lot of teams will have trouble with how flexible we've been, and we can be. So like for instance, like week 1 we played like a Corki carry mid, and I think what did we play ADC? I don't even know. Can't even remember. I don't remember. Something, whatever. Doesn't really matter. I think like we showed like a scaling mid. We got to my spikes and we fought and then we won. And then the second game, like it was all about Seraphine staying alive with uptime. If I could stay up, then I could heal Tristana, and then Mina was free to do whatever she wanted on map. Yeah, and those are just 2 of the many looks that we have. So I think yeah, going forward, I think the biggest strength in both our rookies, Mina and Walker. Oh, actually, guess Chase is a rookie too, so 3
Yeah.
rookies. And actually, like the biggest strength all 3 of them have is their champ pools are really big and only getting bigger. So I don't really know how teams will ban against us ever.
Just so confident. I love it.
I don't know if we'll win every game. Maybe we'll mess up a draft, but at least our drafts are gonna look pretty good.
Heck yeah.
Shout outs
Well,
to Walker on that play because he had to emphasize this to me that he was stealing a crab, a scuttle crab from PJ on top lane and then just ran away.
Yeah, he
Hmm.
literally just whacked him and slowed him, and he was a big reason why PJ was so late to that fight.
Wonderful. Speaking of wonderful, let's go to our next segment, which is going to be led by ours, Dan's, for Dan's stats.
Oh yeah, for this week we've got a battle of the top lane between Mr. Chillwang and Limch96. And this honestly shows the potential of both of these players. Like
What's that
Limch may not
DPM?
have as much gold as Will, but Darren does a lot of damage. That Malphite was really scary this second week. And additionally, I'd like to point out that these two players are among the top 3 most vision placed for top lane. So they care a lot about playing safe, knowing where the team is, and being able to have awareness of when they're getting ganked or collapsed upon.
Yeah, I think they're both really good team players. Like there's like a character growth here, and Will known as the only split push, like Unga Bunga, I'm in the side lane kind of guy. Um, but that's definitely not true. Like the first game on Maokai, he had a gigantic impact. I actually think he was the MVP in the first game against GB. Second game, he went back to more slightly like more bread and butter stuff with Jax and Lane Kingdomed. I think Will is kind of slept on in general as a top laner. I know everybody pays attention to like Steven and Plove as they should, but I think Will is up there in that echelon, and you know will be dangerous for second breakers going forward. On the other hand, I think Limch is super versatile, and like as Will is learning versatility, Limch has already kind of had that, and he can play like a lot of different looks. Can play a more solo carry style, can play a more like team oriented style. I think Limch is also like I don't even know if I would say underrated, because I think a lot of people know that he's going to be impactful no matter what in the top side, but um, yeah, I don't know. He's definitely a big part of THD winning games. As they get their team to gel, like he stabilizes them and makes sure that one lane always has prio in as many situations as possible.
Yeah, I was like really impressed by Will's growth because in previous seasons, like Brian said, he would just go full split push with the Yorick, Chandamere, stuff like that. But especially in our game against them, he was really showing a different shape by being there for the team fight, supporting his team, and just CC locking people and facilitating good fights rather than playing a more selfish 1v9 kind of style of gameplay. So I was really impressed by that. And then that's just going back into this game where he's showing, well, I could do both, and that's really impressive.
So Yui, as the only top laner on the desk today, what are your thoughts on these two?
Ooh, that's my honest opinion is Will is a really good top laner. I don't think I've ever played against Aaron before, but he also looks like he's pretty good. So
Didn't you
I
play against him when
so,
we played? We played their team last split NBS, and I think you played against him in top lane. They picked like
yeah, I thought he
Pantheon
played
into you or
good,
something.
actually.
No, we. Oh yeah, no, that was we played against them in playoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
played
thought
against him in
he
playoffs.
was ADC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was ADC, but in the regular season game we played against him, I think he was their top laner.
he
They messed up their pick ban, and he played
that
top, didn't he?
that was the week a
Huh.
couple weeks after he started, because
Mm.
Darren joined the league right after we played his former team NBS.
Really? Huh.
Yes.
I gotta go back to the logs. I can't remember. But yeah.
Trust the stats, man.
All right. Yeah, I'll trust the stats, man.
Yeah, I just don't remember playing against them. So uh, personally, I think Will's a pretty good top laner. Not someone I'm looking forward to face.
Then you are in his team and you hear, "Oh
But I
no."
will say, Malphite does beat Jax.
That is true.
Fair.
Very awesome. And with that, we end Dan's stats. Thank you so much, Dan, for putting in the work. Also, if anybody doesn't know, Dan's actually puts a lot of work into our stats and the spreadsheets. So go check those out if you have any questions about like how's everybody doing, where the team's going, how much damage and kill participation there is. So Dan's has been taking care of that. So much appreciated, Dan's. I'm not going to host very often, so I wanted to make sure to say that. And
Yeah.
with that, let's go on to predictions. And so the predictions this week are some are mixed, some are pretty unanimous. We see for our predictions MBS, who's a 3-0 team, right?
Yep, we got our free one this time. And before Twitch chat says that these were made after the game, we had them submitted yesterday. So our deadlines are always before the game, or Friday actually. Our
I
deadlines are
didn't even
always
know their game was
Friday.
scheduled for today.
I just want to say that a cat is a better analyst than all the analysts on this desk.
I agree.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Except for
So that's
your host, your boy over here.
Yeah, you're not an analyst. You're the host.
So I said analyst.
Oh,
But no,
that's right.
I also bow to our great overlord Adam with the best win percentage and predictions.
Biggest
So
brain.
Making a comeback from last season.
I was legitimately was the worst predictor. Like you can bet that if I chose your team to win, you were probably going to lose.
it's all right. Our new host has taken up the mantle of being the most int predictor. Press F to pay respects for Colin and his chances at winning the prediction game. But I mean, on the bright side, he's also voted for second breakfast in the second game, which seems to be the upset pick. So maybe he turns this all, gives another look here, and we're all the ones that are wrong.
Heck yeah. It's just gonna be the host curse. Whoever's hosting is just gonna be awful at it. Let's talk about the first game, which is MBS versus XO. Seems we're all kind of unanimous. Does anybody want to try to make a argument for XO, especially
mean,
the
Game
uniqueness
already
of?
happened.
The game
Oh, yeah.
happened this
Already.
morning, so
Wait, hold on. I'm a dummy.
yeah, you know what? Like, I'm gonna make a hot take. EXO goes up 5-0, and then proceeds to be outscaled. I don't know. I just saw it in a dream last night.
Okay, then let's go on to second breakfast versus THD and Aoki. You're the only one who chose second breakfast. Go
Yeah.
ahead and what's going on there?
So going back to my power rankings, I put second breakfast on the higher end for teams, and I think in this game it's really gonna be second breakfast favored. Like you've seen the games, they play pretty solid. Ball lane's really good. Will has been playing pretty well in both styles. Although I think the more underrated thing to know is Barry Allen off road on the jungle, really playing clean in these games. Like, have you seen this guy? Is he like the KDA leader or something? Because he just gets insanely fed every single game that he's playing, and he's
He isn't the KDA leader.
okay.
Rito
It's not,
burrito, baby.
Yeah.
ah, but like
but-
really, this guy is so good. So I feel like it's gonna be a fun game to see him versus Misa, since Barry does play on the more aggressive end, and I feel like just going lane and lane, I'm gonna have to lean with second breakfast more so than Triori Destiny.
I mean, I think this is our highlight week of the highlight match of the week.
For sure.
Both these teams are insane. I think the first game for THD was an interesting one where they got I don't know, absolutely slapped around by support Xerath and gave him a triple kill at like I don't know 3 minutes or some crazy thing. So that won't happen again, I'm sure. That said, I don't know. I was kind of torn between this. I think both these teams are really good. But I think I have, after last week where I bet against THD, the team of which I'm an alum. I don't know. I don't want to do it again. I think Misa is too explosive, and I don't know if anybody is as explosive as Misa is on Second Breakfast. There are fewer holes on Second Breakfast, and I think that the entire team is ticking. But yeah, I think THD has a lot of like boom or bust in that team, and I think this is a boom kind of game. Yeah, I mean, I think this could go either way though. Like I think Second Breakfast is a really good team. I mean, they're 2-0, and I think that with more practice, they can just get better. So
And Brian and I were making our predictions together, and he heavily apologized for his pick and then said, I hope you can prove me wrong, if anything.
yeah, maybe.
Oh, we'll see. Next game we have is Master Rapids versus the Student Council, with me being the only person who chose the Student Council. So there's okay.
Awkward.
This is gonna be the make or break for me. So same thing with like Colin, but I think that the Student Council, like Mooney like Luna, is kind of like what showcased last game, right? Like just amazing plays, playing I believe Rel, and just getting too tanky. Their objective game also was something that I did not expect them to do as well at. If I was in the power rankings, I think they would have been somewhere in the middle. But I think their play was just a lot better. But against the other team, it's fine. But like the Nick Mead, Vid the mid, I think they're just gonna be able to just really clutch it through. And if Mooney can consistently play at that level, with the Nick Mead following up, I think they have a good chance of winning. That's my take on it. If someone wants to challenge that, I believe all of you are. You're
No, I
going
agree
to.
with you. So I even though I picked Acer Rabbits, I feel like this is gonna be a closer game than you expect. And definitely if Daniel goes Rel or something similar and just like full Unga Bunga like in game one, I think it'd be a definitely closer game because he was making plays left and right, and it was a scrappy game, but it was still like really solidly handled at the end of it. I think that might have been a little bit better than the one carry comp because as you might have seen, playing one carries just doesn't really work that
Nope.
often in BTL games.
Does
It's
not.
more
Ask
it's more
deep
likely to
dive from
just
last
rely on
season. Regular season deep dive.
yeah, it's more
Pro tier.
it's way better to just play like 2 carry comps and just have tons of engage or just like, pick your usual death ball comp.
Right. I think TSC has potential, but one, never doubt Ginny, and two, I think that like AR seems to be pretty well rounded right now. I think AR is a pretty top tier team. Their game against NBS, which I think a lot of us are putting at like the tippy top of our power rankings, that game was testy, kind of all the way through. So
That was
I don't
such
know.
a good
I think
series.
yeah, AR is in a good spot. And I think that I don't know. I favor them against TSC. Just one of the biggest things is their drafting is clearly going to be a lot stronger than TSC's unless somebody steps it up and like figures out how to draft for their team. It was a really big issue against us. And then I think it was also a big issue against MBB. I think a lot of the teams that are kind of struggling or we perceive as struggling right now are struggling purely because um, there's not somebody that's like a dedicated shot caller or a dedicated drafter. All the peripheral stuff that isn't like, click, on champion, press Q on champion. And I think TSC kind of has those issues too. So I'm not sure who needs to step up on that team. Maybe it's Vid, maybe it's Plobe or something in terms of like getting his team on the same page when it comes to drafting and when it comes to like shot calling, mid game macro and stuff like that. But um, I think for now, I can't put him over AR because I think AR with Ginny on that team has those on lock.
I'm very awesome. So the next game we have is going to be Deep Dive versus Milwaukee Bucks. sinZsoul, what made you choose Milwaukee Bucks for this week?
Baby.
Milwaukee Bucks. So I think Adam is going to run through everyone on Deep Dive, and basically I think Top's going to win, and then Bot's going to win, and he'll have a lot of pressure from that, and just be able to basically destroy the jungle matchup, and calling it an L, he'll be the most damage dealt on his team. So
I wouldn't doubt that.
I mean, I think he currently is already on his team.
that would
Surely,
be
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I voted for MVP too, and I want a deep dive take on this for sure. But one, I'm biased towards Elena and all my other homies like Adam on MBB. But I do, I mean, they show glimpses of like what they could be, and then they show glimpses of like why they aren't what they could be. And the latter seems to take over when they crumble apart at like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I have faith in that team to figure it out in terms of like who's their shot caller going to be, how are we going to play this game, what's our draft going to look like? Like they have the same questions the TSC has, and they have the same strengths. Like maybe not in the same roles. Like Plobe and Nick Mead are very different people and different, very different roles than Caribou and Chia Snacks. But Caribou and Chia Snacks are two of the strongest playmakers in BTL. Caribou, I mean, has insane DPM, has done a ton of damage. I think in their last game, he had like 20 kills or something. Like they're trying to make plays on the map. They just don't know how to make those plays make sense sometimes. And once they figure it out, which I'm hoping is against Deep Dive, I think they're a really strong team. That said, I think Deep Dive is a pretty good team. I don't know how they're 0-2. I mean, I know the last game they lost. I'm like, all right, they lost this game real hard. But game one like showed promise against NBS. Wired was roaming. I don't know. I think both these teams, MBB, I know is like at the bottom right now, and they can be a lot better. Deep Dive, I just don't really know why they're at the bottom right now. Because I think they probably should be higher, but they haven't put it together either. So give me a Deep Dive take. Who voted
Yeah,
for
that's
Deep
gonna
Dive?
be Alki.
So I voted for deep dive. I really want to see. I once again I do feel like this game could be a toss up. It really does depend. While Elena and Adam are pretty solid playmakers, it's just when it starts getting to that mid game point, they start having a little bit of identity crisis. It really falls on somebody or multiple people to who is going to step up and proceed to carry and put out the damage if we're making all these plays. Because you can set up so much, but then somebody's going to have to follow it through. And I feel like that's what they're missing. And I think that's going to get better over time. But for right now, I feel like deep dive would be a bit more cohesive. But then again, judging from our last game, it's hard to say. So I'm like feeling 50-50 ish, but I'm gonna have, from what I've seen, I'm gonna have to lean more towards deep dive.
Hmm, very much agree. And let's see, we have our last game, which is also a complete shutout for Panic in Our Oceans versus the Good Boys, which I'm a little bit surprised about. Yeah, who wants to take a dive for? Oh, not a dive. An argument
Take a
for
deep
the Good
dive.
Boys. A deep dive, yeah, for the Good Boys.
I mean, they've shown a lot of improvement already, and there is a chance where Steven somehow destroys Walker top lane, wrecks his KDA for the season, and does something similar to what they did this last game. But I just don't see it. Pio's bot lane is really, really strong, and like I see how quickly they've improved and been patching their holes. So what you expect to be holes aren't really there.
Very awesome.
I,
Uh,
I, this is weird for me because I think GB is going to be one of our harder matchups. So this like sweep prediction is kind of weird to me. I don't know. There's only a few teams where I'm like particularly cautious about. In fact, I would say that we're not honestly that like frightened about playing NBS. We don't see them until week 9, so who knows? Maybe by then we would be. But like, I actually think we match up really well. But I don't think we match up like that well against GB. So there's some I don't know. Like it's weird that everybody thinks we're gonna win. I mean, hopefully we
I think
do.
it's really gonna come down to the draft, and we like to work together on our draft, so it's gonna be like a fun back and forth to see who can get what advantageous picks over each other, and seeing how can we execute these picks. Because of course, draft is a good part of it, but then execute definitely comes down to execution. So I feel like we've been able to up our communication, and with a bit more practice. Granted, the game's tomorrow, so it's a little hard. I think it'll be a closer game than people are thinking.
So my opinion on it is a lot of this centers around the top lane because you have Steven versus uh, oh geez,
Walker, Rito,
Walker,
Burrito.
and so uh, whoever gets counterpick in the top lane has a much better chance of playing to their win condition. I feel like. So even if he gets the counterpick, he can actually just mess up Walker and stop the game potentially. But if Walker gets counterpick, he could potentially find a pick that even counters Steven's pick and maybe even win the top lane. Against all of our expectations. Uh, and right now, it's it looks like PIO has a red side, which means they should have counterpick top, and that kind of it to me it decreases the chances of GB winning that game.
very awesome.
We're
Uh,
counterpicking ADC. You heard it here first.
Oh yeah. What
hey
if all the
boys.
ADCs are banned and we just play AP mids? Dun dun dun.
Well, very awesome, boys. We're gonna go on to our questions, which I think we only have a couple. If you have any more questions, go ahead and put them in the Bubble Tea League for our analysts. Uh, First one from Charlie. Who is the rookie support that has been destroying the bot lane?
Between Tactical Gazelle and Matthew? I mean, Matthew,
Pentamaster.
If I didn't see the
Pentamastra?
board game, I would say Tactical Gazelle, but I would have to say Matthew Box XT. That guy is playing really clean.
I don't know. Brian brings up a good point with Mr. Pentamaster.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it would be between him and Matthew, honestly.
I mean, we have a lot of rookie sports this time around. We have Chieri as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of rookie sports, but um, realistically speaking, I think like Matthew's probably the MVP right now. In terms of like supports at least. I do think though his game 1 was a really standout game. His game 2 was all right, and then his game 3, this last game actually was like not great. In terms of individual play, I think he probably micros his team around the map in every game. But for what it's worth, I do think he's like slowed down a little bit. But I still think like overall impact, like you're probably gonna put Matthew at the top. His vision control is pretty nuts on map. Yeah, I think he has the highest vision score per minute. I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure that's correct.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. He's probably the MVP in the bot lane right now for sure. In fact, I would just say like he's just the MVP, maybe in the whole. I don't know. There's some pretty good players so far, but he stepped it up.
I think it is put eloquently by Charlie. The place, the execution, the good looks. Pentamaster has them all. and,
Fair.
and just chat going Pentamaster. But very awesome, guys. Looks like we can just start to round this out. Let's go to standings and see. Is there any just quick takes? Is there anybody where you don't expect them to be? Like just
Dive. I expect
Deep
Deep
dive
Dive
going
to
too.
move up.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was kind of weird. Yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest ones to be honest. I think all the 2-0 teams are pretty good, and like the 1-1 teams, had some ups and some downs. I think that's pretty fair. Deep Dive is a team that I didn't think would go into or own whatever. So
Granted, it's only week 3, but I'm like starting to lean more towards the executive order being the deep dive of last season, where just totally tank the regular season and then proceed to like, come back in playoffs with a
Yeah.
really good 80 carry.
That's not going to be good.
It's
for the
starting
hot
to
take.
follow a trend here.
yeah, I mean,
I will still remain a
Yeah.
Cincy fanboy despite the scoring.
yeah, I mean, I think those 3 teams at the bottom plus TSC. I mean, well, not Deep Dive necessarily, but MBB, XO, and TSC all have the same issues. Need somebody to like steady the ship as they sail on through their games. So like hopefully they can figure that out. I mean, XO, like I don't know, we did a pseudo scrim where I played on XO and we smacked it. So like I think that like they've got the players, they just don't have like the ability to really push them on the map where they need to be and facilitate them the best they can. So once they have that figured out, I think they'll be a good team, like you said. But yeah, I think I don't know, Deep Dive and MBB are lower than we thought in the preseason for sure.
And-
We know their problems are apparent, but still lower than we thought they would be.
anybody just listening, we'll just read out these scores. Nutter Butter Scuttlers, Panic in Our Oceans, and Second Breakfast are tied for first place. The Student Council, Asa Rabbits, True Our Destiny, Good Boys, who are 1-1, are in the 4th, and Milwaukee Bucks Baby, Executive Order, and Deep Dive are in the 8th place currently with 0-2. Let's get onto the schedule, and for this week, we have Sunday, which is the game that
So many
already
games
has
on
been
Monday.
played.
Yep.
It was MBS versus XO. Monday is going to be stacked with the double header.
Nah, it's a triple
Triple
header,
header.
baby.
Oh,
Awkward.
baby. So
Will both
It's
games be
gonna-
streamed?
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
2 streams. It's gonna
Awesome.
be weird, and one of them might get delayed a little if we run over on the first one. So yeah.
so it's going to be Aster Rabbit CSC at 7 p.m. PST. All these are going to be in PST. And then Good Boys PIO versus, and then a Second Breakfast THD, who are going to be streaming at the same time. It's going to be a wild game, and Deep Dive and Milwaukee Bucks do not have a time set yet. It's just going to probably end up being on Monday. So that's 7
Please
o'clock.
no. Please no. Not the 4 game.
Quadruple feature.
Quadruple features, the double
Quadruple
double.
feature.
Since you,
The birth
what-
of oh yes.
oh, I was going to ask you, what game are you most excited about as we're starting to end the stream?
The game I'm most excited about. Probably honestly, I think a lot of the games could go either way. But probably THD versus Second Breakfast.
I second
Wait,
that.
okay, I got a question for y'all. Which game do y'all think is going to be a total ape fest?
Total Ape Fest.
Look, any team that any team that has you, Aoki, I feel like there's gonna be some like ape festing.
Hey man, I didn't
mean,
die at all last game. What are you talking about?
in terms of like kills per game, like kills plus deaths combined per game, which team has the most of those? Because I don't know, the THD calling card was like bloody mess, and I don't really know what team has that calling card right now, but
I just rewatched a game yesterday that was I wish I knew the teams, but it was just literally just people
It
dying
was
everywhere. I think
NBS versus AR.
yeah, it was like 17, 18 kills on each side. It was just like just everyone dying. Like it was great. It was wonderful. But yeah. With that, any last comments or anything like that? No?
Go
No,
NBS.
not particular.
Got it. Well, all right. Well, thank you so much for our analysts, Brian Decadunu, Daniel, for your stats, Dan's, and Alki, all the analysts. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah, can be.
And then,
Yes.
absolutely. And sinZsoul, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for giving us some perspective from the top lane.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
we can't keep calling him sinZsoul when there's a sinZsoul in the league.
Yeah,
know?
come
Yeah, I
on.
always get
Come on,
confused.
Dave.
You gotta say Sin
Honestly.
Z. You gotta hard
sinZsoul.
pronounce the Z.
Hard
Wait,
pronounce
what
it.
happened to the soul? Did we just
Or
is
you
it a
just call him
silent
you.
4 letters?
We just call him
Or the
Soul.
sinZsoul.
sinZsoul. But
Maybe you can just go soul.
yeah, Soul's fine too. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining us again, and thank you to all the viewers. We will be back next week after the games have been completed. If you have any questions or comments, let us know. And I hope to see y'all in the Twitch chat, supporting whichever teams you think is going to win. But with that, we're going to sign off, and we'll see y'all on the Rift.